Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Jenny Aiello, and this is With Love, Jenny, a podcast where we meet ourselves right in the heart of our vulnerability and authenticity. In this sacred space where it's just you and I dive into real life, rich with wisdom and opportunities for deep healing. I explore what it means to truly connect to ourselves, to each other, and to something much greater than us all. In each podcast, I like to meet life right where it touches us most, in our tenderness, in our truth, in our struggles and our strength. So wherever you are on your journey, or whatever it is that you're carrying, no matter how light or heavy, just know I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin today's episode. Hey there, it's Jenny. I'm here today with my co-host, Kristen, and it's a beautiful autumn day. This week, we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving, so we thought it would be nice to talk about gratitude. Not just gratitude like a feeling, but how to use gratitude as a power tool. So let's dive in. Kristen, are you ready?
Definitely.
All right. Well, as always, we're going to start with a story. So you all hang with me on this story. And then we're going to go into a deeper discussion about how gratitude can pull you out of a really awful, very bad day. So here's the story. And I want to hear from those of you who can relate to a day like this. Last week, I woke up early, which I usually do. I really love the quiet morning hours when the world is still snuggled in bed and I am in my own sacred, quiet, pre-dawn solitude, right? So I light my candle and I make my coffee and I get ready to settle into my favorite chair for an hour of just quiet reflection and inspiration. I might journal, whatever it is that I want to do that morning. So this particular morning was no different, except as I stumbled out of my room in the dark, trying to be quiet, while I was on my way down the stairs, I slipped. Thankfully, I didn't fall to the bottom, but I did land hard. It hurt. So I stood up and stumbled on down the rest of the stairs safely into the kitchen. I turned on the coffee maker. As always, I left the coffee maker to go let the dog out, which is normally a non-event. But this morning, there was some kind of wild animal out in the backyard, and she began barking and chasing it, sending me into a total frenzy and panic. She was running around. I was running around, chasing her in the backyard in my pajamas, stepping on sticks and leaves with my bare feet, trying to get control of the situation. These are those moments where I wish my neighbor just would have recorded it because it would have been a hysterical video to put on YouTube. But anyway, eventually we got back inside and I turned to get my very much needed cup of coffee at that point and discovered that there was coffee grounds and coffee spilling all over the counter because the filter wasn't put in correctly the night before and it caused quite a mess. By the time I got that figured out, I just really wanted to go back to bed and start my day over before it even got started. But I didn't. I kept going. And the mishaps kept happening, including a need to completely change my clothes before I went to the office because I spilled salad dressing all over my shirt while I was packing my lunch. And that made me late for meeting a client. So my bad day, my really awful, very bad day just kept getting worse. Why does that happen? Why is it that when one thing goes wrong, it seems like it lights a fuse or something to this whole chain of events that just keep happening? So I feel like I'm not the only one who has had that experience, but maybe I am. And I want to hear from you all. And Kristen will share if she can relate. But what typically happens is that I start to set an expectation that things are going to continue to go wrong. And this is what we want to dive in today: mindset, expectations, and how to pull out of a very bad mood. So, how do you break free from the expectation that things will go wrong when every next minute they actually are going wrong? And this is where, evidence is right in front of me. Reality is that I had a sore tailbone and a bunch of mess to clean up, and my feet hurt from running around in the yard barefoot in the dark. Those were real. Those were real painful events. So, how do I break the spiral? How do I stop myself from plunging into a full blown panic attack? So that morning, I slowed myself down and I began hearing what was going on in my head. There was a voice saying, "This is just going to be one of those days." Actually, I think I said that out loud. I heard a voice saying, "Jenny, you need to go back to bed and just stay there till tomorrow." And then another one, "OMG, what else is going to go wrong today?" Or another one said, "If one more thing goes wrong, I'm going to quit life for today." At one point, I can admit that I found myself resorting to some profanity because it got ridiculous. Well, all those thoughts were the best predictor of how my day will unfold. And what if those thoughts were the cause of the next event? There's a really good coaching tool that I like to use at times like this. And I have to tell you that the tool itself is so powerful that it works every time, but you have to remember to use it because life happens. Stuff goes wrong. It's inevitable, right? And these aren't things necessarily happening to you, but they happen and then you're there to experience them, like coffee makers malfunctioning. It wasn't like the coffee maker decided to give me a bad day. It was just an event that happened, and I experienced it in the midst of a long chain of other events that made it feel like the universe just wanted to hit me upside the head. So, with each thing that went wrong, I came up with 3 or 4 more thoughts about how my day was going to go. This is going to be a bad day. This day's starting off horribly. This just isn't going to be my day. Well, what else is going to happen to me today? The feeling that followed those thoughts was not great. As a matter of fact, I would just put it in the big lump sum of victim. I began my day with feelings of anger, frustration, impatience, irritation, annoyance. I was a hot mess by the time my husband came downstairs, who quite frankly had to scoot out the door pretty fast because he could tell something was terribly wrong with me. So I put all that energy on him. I carried it into my day. And what is important to point out, I now had an expectation that my day was going to be bad no matter what. And I was manifesting that. So back to that question, how do we break out of a bad mood? How do we not react to things that seem to go wrong, one thing after another? It takes me a while to remember to use my tools. And we're going to talk about that in our discussion. But by the time I got there, I was about in tears. I couldn't even remember I had tools in the first place because I was so upset and angry and irritated and frustrated. But once I did use this power tool, everything melted away. And it turned out to be one of my best days that week. So the tool we're going to tell you is about practicing simple gratitude. I finally had to stop. I just stopped and said, okay, I got to gain some control here because my day's just going from bad to worse. I purposefully stood in my kitchen and I put my hand on my heart and I began giving thanks for everything that was involved in that bad morning. So I said things like, I'm so grateful for such a welcoming space that I can begin my day. I'm so grateful that I wasn't hurt when I fell on the stairs. I'm so grateful to have quiet mornings where I can light my candle and appreciate my quiet time almost every day. I'm so grateful for my kitchen and a coffee maker that actually automatically greets me with warm coffee each morning, even if I mess up the settings sometimes. I'm so grateful for clean clothes and a washing machine right upstairs so I can do laundry anytime I need to. I'm so grateful my dog wasn't hurt in her interaction with whatever kind of wildlife she found. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so very grateful. I gave thanks for everything that I could think of. And then I just breathed it in. And I cannot think of one time that it didn't turn my day around. I know that day. I know it well because it just happened last week, but it did not fail. A gratitude practice is one of the most powerful tools that we can carry in our toolbox. There's a universal truth that comes in handy when we find ourselves in this kind of spiral. It's what you focus on expands. When the first thing went wrong, I began focusing on everything that was going wrong or was possibly going to go wrong. And because of that, I kept creating more. So when we shift our focus from all the things going wrong into gratitude or what is working, we can shift everything and we get to be right. It's like, it's going to be a bad day and I get to be right. Or I am grateful for this day and I get to be right about what it holds. So focus on what you want instead of what you expect or don't want, and give thanks, and everything will begin to shift. Bad moods, hard mornings, difficult days. Others who might be having a bad day, they are kind of unavoidable. Stuff happens. We all have these kind of mornings or these kind of days or these kind of series of events. But what we do with them in the moment is what makes all the difference. So stop and notice what's going on and begin a list of gratitude and appreciations and say them out loud if you can. But most important, let them into your heart so that you feel it. You have to get into a space of feeling that gratitude. So, Kristen, tell us what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off that just a little bit. Jenny had given us a tool. I've taken a course with her that when we read our affirmations, to put your hand on your heart while you're reading them. And then when you're done, take a deep breath and then say, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I thought that this would be good in this situation too. Like, say all the things you're grateful for to break you out of this zone that you're in, with your hand on your heart. Like, you're really centering yourself. Like, you're saying it out loud, you're touching your body, and then you are bringing it in, I think, to love, like when you take a deep breath and then say thank you 3 times, because you're reminding yourself that that really isn't what life is all about, even though it is life situations.
Right, exactly. And that's what's hard, because it is a real life situation and it feels so real, like there is no other thing to feel in the moment. But we have a choice. We have the ability to choose out of it, which brings me to another point. Kristen, have you ever gotten in that space and been drawn into it to the point you don't want out of it?
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's when you're talking and I'm like, oh, this is a pattern of mine. I could be in this space for days until I finally get out of it. But I remember way back in the day in my 20s when I was a waitress, if my first table went wrong, the whole rest of the night could go really, really, really bad, because then that's what I expected. And it was almost like, why is this happening? I didn't know back then. I wasn't aware, but I'm like, why is each thing getting worse? Why did I just mess up on that order after that? Why did this just happen? It's like, if you can just stop, which we talked about before we got on here, is the hardest thing, because you don't want to be rational. You deeply go into victim mode. But if you can be super intentional and think, this is not how I want to live going forward, I am going to do these practices. You have to be dedicated.
You do. You have to. And it is, this was a story about a bad morning, but sometimes we're having a bad year. And sometimes life is really, really hard. And as you hear future episodes, you'll hear how this tool plays out in different scenarios that are even worse than just a series of bad events in one morning. You might be there. You might be saying, like, nothing's going right in my life right now. I feel like about the time I get on my feet, we get another bill in the mail. I get another, doctor's report. I get the car breaks down. One more thing, one more thing, one more thing. And when you feel yourself just tampering down into a lower vibrational frequency emotion, which are those low human emotions, and you're just feeling defeated or you're just feeling beat up by life, it's stopping and realizing I can turn this around. I can do something about this. And it's hard because we're so fogged in with the situations that are happening, and we're so fogged in with the emotions that we feel about these situations that it's hard to see your way to a moment of clarity that says, I can do something different. I can do something more than just take it. And sometimes, you come out wanting with your fists, wanting to fight and say, I am not going to take this anymore. And you're kind of screaming back at the world or the universe or the coffee maker.
Or slamming a door really hard because it feels good after something bad happened.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels good to release it. And the door is like, well, it might not love you for that, but it's not a human. And often that energy gets put on other humans.
Yes.
And it's where our pain gets just slathered on other people because we feel a little bit entitled to it. I'm having a bad day, so too bad for you, and we snap somebody's head off and some stranger in the coffee line, or you are just, your energy without even saying anything is like, ooh, it's kind of like Pigpen that walked around with all the Pigpen dust swirling around him. And it's like we go through our day like that. And so taking responsibility for that bad mood or that bad day and choosing to shift out of that. And there is I want us to talk about this, Kristen, is the difference between this practice of centering in gratitude versus smiling and putting on a positive attitude. I'm not saying that a positive attitude isn't a good thing to have, but positive attitudes in the midst of everything falling apart is a form of denial sometimes, in that I'm just going to pretend this stuff isn't happening. I'm going to just smile and act like I'm having the best day. Now, I will tell you that can work because your brain doesn't know the difference between a fake smile and a real smile. And it sends the feel-good chemicals, which help boost that feel-good feeling up from anger and frustration. But to me, it's a bypass of what's really happening. So for me, the positive attitude with the gratitude, a component of that is saying, thank you for not letting me get hurt when I fell down the steps, is a way of saying, this happened, but I have something still to be grateful for, versus I'm having a great day. It's been a super good morning. Everything is coming up roses. My coffee's perfect, and acting like all that stuff didn't happen. There's a voice inside me going, what the heck? I just went through a horrible experience. What are you doing? Acting like it wasn't anything. So I don't feel like I'm in alignment. And being able to get yourself into alignment with what is happening from a centering place of gratitude is different than just putting a positive spin on it or sugarcoating it.
Right. It's almost like you have to come from it in an authentic standpoint, like a very real way. Like, I acknowledge that just happened, but what can I see to the light from that situation to move forward, instead of plastering this fake happy energy around it.
Yes. because authenticity isn't, isn't fake. It's just not. And so being authentic and being able to say, I had a rough morning and I'm so grateful that I could turn it around. If someone's like, oh, how are you doing? How was your day? Well, I started out pretty rough, but I'm so grateful I could turn it around. And a lot of people say, how'd you do that? Because we don't have that tool. We don't have people saying, stop. This is something every single human being experiences in different and varying degrees of severity. And we don't really stop and say, what is it that we can do so that before we walk out of our house each day, or before we interact with people through, social media or phone calls or Zoom, is that we authentically find the light inside what is going on and say what is happening. And this can be, we're not being, it's like I said, it's one thing when it's the coffee maker spilling over or something. It's another when things get even more severe and more serious. I want to say that it's still hard, but you will always be able to find light in every situation if you allow yourself to look for it. So the key is to stop and to check in and to choose how you're going to proceed. And it's a seductive energy to stay victim, to stay angry, to stay entitled to your bad mood. It's kind of a seductive force field that sucks you in, and you're like, I just want to wallow in this for a while. I just want everybody to feel sorry for me. I just want somebody to, rescue me, or whatever is going on. It's something that I think we all fall into sometimes. And that's what makes it hard to even consciously have a thought that maybe I don't have to keep doing this. Mm-hmm. And it is really, if you want to really do some deep work around this exercise, as I was sharing in my story, I could hear those voices in my head. They're in the background while I'm cleaning up coffee grounds and, checking on my dog and pulling twigs out of my toes. I could hear the voices. And when I stopped to say, okay, what are those voices? Where do they come from? Why are they saying what they're saying? Like, who's in charge of those voices? Eckhart Tolle talks about that as the observer. And there is a part of us that can observe not just what we're doing, but what we're thinking and what we're telling ourselves. It's this observer shows up. And that's what when I say stop and get present, observe what's happening. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are you hearing in those voices in your head? What are they saying? And I can tell you because I began to listen. But we are often so busy doing stuff, we don't stop to listen to what is it in that background. What's voices in the white noise of my head, of my mind.
Well, it's almost like there's two things going on. You're in victim mode, and then there's another layer of like, if I can just keep being productive and just keep moving, I can get through this. But if you never really stop to pause, like I was thinking as you were talking, if I could just remember when I am in one of those moments to put on a song that I know relaxes me, or to take my socks off and go put my bare feet on the earth, how quickly could that turn around if I remember to do that?
Right. But it's hard if we keep cleaning up the messes or plowing through the day.
Right.
And we are being productive, like you said, and we busy ourselves away from the very tool that is going to help us. So we really want to hear from you, and we want to hear if you give this a try, and how hard is it to get present. And it doesn't, it doesn't have to be even a super, very bad, awful, horrible day. It can be just any time that you want to stop and just take a gratitude inventory. It really, really, it grounds you, it centers you, it reminds you how blessed you really are. And a lot of times, not always, but some of the stuff that we're wrestling with is really trivial in the big scheme of life. And there are times when it's not, and it doesn't matter. Gratitude always resets you into a better place. It always works if you allow it, if you do it and you're genuine. Now, if you're just doing a recitation and you're just reading a script and you're not feeling it, the point of speaking and saying and putting your hand on your heart and breathing in what you're grateful for is to get the feeling of gratitude, not just the recitation of gratitude statements. Because if you're just doing that and you're not letting them in, it's going to just give you evidence. You'll just go stump your toe and say, well, that didn't work, and you'll be back in your victim spiral of bad things are going to happen to me. So really take it slow. And if you can do that by going outside, Kristen mentioned this, put your bare feet to the earth. The earth provides so many healing energies. The negative ions enter up through your feet. And it's something that I do every day as a practice, but especially if I need to go and do my gratitude centering, then doing that with my bare feet on the earth it's a bonus. So,
well, and really too, a lot is going on in that moment. You're using all of your senses and it's bringing you back into the present moment. You're seeing, you're hearing, you're smelling, and it's bringing you out of that spiral that you could be quickly going down.
Right. Interrupting the pattern is the hardest part. It's just you're interrupting a downward spiral. And it's kind of like interrupting a fall down the steps or, just it's that momentum. It gets momentum and it's hard to stop it. The longer it goes, the harder it is. And usually you're at a place where you're so exasperated or you're about to cry or, something makes you just throw your arms in the air like, what else can go wrong? And that moment of clarity where, I just heard myself say that. And you stop. And it's the pause. And allowing yourself time to go, what can I do different right now? And choose this as one of the tools. It's the first one I go to in situations like that. And it allows you to be in that space of centering and in the space of gratitude.
Well, and I think there's the preventative aspect of it too. Like, what can you do ahead of time so when these moments happen and a light bulb of awareness goes off? Can you provide time in your day, each day, to practice being slow and being present? So it's not always this huge situation. I've learned that. So you come back to a situation after you've been practicing the awareness and being present, the light bulb goes off a little quicker. Not every time, because you can be strongly triggered. And I know that to my core. But you do remember. And might not remember in time, but you'll remember later in the day, oh, I need to go do that.
And, ironically, that is what my pre-dawn hour each day is for. I was on my way because every day I spend time in that space of slowness, of peacefulness. I light my candle. I think about my day ahead. I think about my, what I'm grateful for. I think about what I am concerned about. And, I spend time putting a blessing or a prayer over people that I know are in a difficult situation. I feel like I connect to both my heart and to spirit and to people in a beautiful, quiet space and practice that every day. And you're right, there is a muscle memory to these tools that you think of it quicker, you catch it sooner, as you practice it. But all of the work that we're doing, all of this work requires practice. It requires a dedication to mindfully picking up the tool and using it and connecting it to circumstances and situations, and then recognizing if we don't stop at the end of the day and say, wow, my day started out pretty bad, but when I went outside and I began to claim gratitude for what was happening and find the light within and remember that there are still many, 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 many blessings around me, my day got better. And you actually have to complete that process by looking at how things did change and not be going so fast through life that you forget to connect the dot. That once I stepped into that gratitude practice, my day got better. And then look at what happened. And then this happened. And the best thing happened by 4:00. And then the day just ended beautifully. And then have gratitude for that, because otherwise you'll think it was random, just as random as the universe decided to make my morning, one big ball of chaos. I could just as easily say, and then it randomly all went away and I had nothing to do with that. But it's our thought, it's our intention around that. It's our ability to shift. It isn't random. I don't believe anything is random. So yes, we can take this into all kinds of different arenas, and it boils down to the same simple practice. And if you can practice it at home when you're having a bad day, or on your way to work when you get a bad phone call about something, and you can start to learn to practice and shift when you're on the world stage thinking about it, then you're able to apply it there too. So let's talk about those 4 steps again. The first is be present to your own energy. And your own energy comes from the thoughts that you're thinking, even if you're not present to them. So get present to your own energy and your own thoughts. Notice, what is that I am feeling right now? Then name it. The second part is name it. Whatever you're feeling, give it a name. Today, it might be that you're saying, today, I am feeling really off. I'm tired and I'm irritable, and that's okay. Just name it. Then let others know that how you're doing and what you need. Otherwise, they will just add to your bad mood by reacting to it. So once you name it, and then you say, as was my case to my husband when he came downstairs, I've had a really bad and horrible morning, and I'm now in a really bad mood, and it's nothing to do with you. I just need some space. So letting him know this is what's happened. And he is then going to say, oh my gosh, let me help you clean it up. Or he's going to say, okay, well, is there anything I can do? And it's like, no, just give me some, just leave and let me get through this, whatever. So let others know, and then stop. Find that pause, quit cleaning up, quit reacting, quit doing things. Find a moment to stop, ground yourself, look around at where you're standing, and start counting all the blessings that you can see. Begin a gratitude inventory with your hand on your heart, and don't stop until your bad mood dissipates. So I promise you it will shift. I promise if you keep doing it, you will start to feel this shift. It works in a way of the law of attraction. It can work in if you're struggling financially and you're just like, oh no, I know we're going to get hit with another bad thing. And what's the next bill that's going to come? And I don't have enough to make it to the end of the month. What am I going to do? Have gratitude. It works no matter what your struggle, no matter how severe it is. Just keep practicing gratitude. So if you'd like to have access to a powerful gratitude meditation, we're going to hop into the blessing room over at Patreon and give you this so that on those days when you really need help getting out of a low energy mood, you will have this and you'll get to become a part of our growing community. We're going to be sharing a beautiful meditation of gratitude after we discuss on a practical level how, again, to shift out of anger and low frequency emotions and reach for that next best emotion that you can get to. As always, we hope that you take this into your day and into your life and find meaning and purpose and use it as your very own power tool. And we'd love to hear from you. And we send you a beautiful Thanksgiving blessing for a week that is filled with gratitude and with love. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you found a spark of wisdom to carry with you, and maybe even a deeper invitation to heal and grow and transform through your own beautiful story. Or maybe this episode made you think of someone who could use encouragement. And if so, I hope you will share it with them. If you'd like to learn more about working with me or attending one of my healing retreats, coaching programs, and other offerings, you can visit my website at jennyaiello.com or email me directly at jenny@jaiello.com. You'll find all the links in the show notes. If today's episode touched you, it would mean the world if you would leave a review or share it with someone who might need it, or just reach out and let me know how it landed for you. I'd love to hear from you. I'm building something special here. Real stories, real life, real connection. One episode, one heart, and one story at a time. As always, with love. Oh, and this is the legal message, but mostly a message from my heart, and I just need to share this with you right now. Please know this podcast is offered solely for educational and entertainment purposes. If you find yourself triggered due to anything that was shared in this podcast, please seek professional help. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for mental health services. While I am a professional life coach, I am not a psychotherapist, nor am I a mental health clinician. So if you are struggling emotionally, please seek help, because you matter, you are important, and most of all, you are worthy of doing this work, the work that leads you to a better and healthier place. Okay? All right. Thank you. And please always make enough time to take care of yourself, and do so with love.